Hi and welcome to another Carpenter tutoring tutorial. I'm Amy and today we're going to talk about exponents. Exponents are a shorthand for showing repeated multiplication, just like multiplication itself is a shorthand for showing repeated addition. Every exponent has two parts. It has a base, which is the larger number that we see. So for example, we could use a base of 2. And then we have the exponent itself. This is a number that appears a little bit smaller and higher on the page compared to our base. For example, we could use an exponent of 3 here. So again, the 2 is our base. It's the big number that we see. And then the exponent is the smaller number floating up above it. The way that exponents work is they tell us how many times to multiply the base by itself. So this base of 2 with an exponent of 3 tells me to multiply the base of 2 by itself 3 times. So I use the number 2. I know to use the number 2 because the base is 2, and I show 3 2's because my exponent is 3. Then I multiply them all together. 2 times 2 is 4, and then times another 2 takes us to 8. So that means that a base of 2 to the exponent of 3 is equal to 8. Let's take a look at another example. This time, we have a base of 4 and an exponent of 2. An exponent always tells me the number of times I should multiply the base by itself. So I have a base of 4, and my exponent of 2 tells me to multiply it by itself twice. So 4 times 4. Now that I know this, I can do the multiplication. 4 times 4 is 16. No matter what the base is or how big the exponent may be, this pattern is always true. So let's take a look at an even bigger example just to see what happens. Let's say we had something like 2 to the 8th. Well, our pattern still holds true. This is telling me to use a base of 2 and multiply it by itself 8 times. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 2's, and I would have to multiply them all together. This is going to become a really big number. So let's see what it turns out to be. 2 times 2 is 4. So every time I see a group of 2 2's, I know that together they're representing 4. Well, then 4 times 4 is 16. So every group of 2 4's takes me to 16. And then finally, 16 times 16 is 256. A base of 2 to an exponent of 8 gives us 256. We've talked about how exponents work now, but let's talk about how to actually read them and communicate about them in spoken language. For the most part, we can follow a particular pattern for saying these exponents out loud. We can use the base value first to the exponent power. And this exponent we won't give as a regular number. For example, if the exponent is 3, we would say third. If the exponent was 4, we would say fourth. So we're using the ordinal numbers, meaning if you were to put them in order, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. So for example, if we had a base of 3 and an exponent of 5, I could read this as 3 to the 5th power. 3 to the 5th power. If we have a base of 4 and an exponent of 10, we could read this as 4 to the 10th power. There are two exponents that have special names. The exponents of 2 and 3 each have special names. We can still read these as 2 to the 2nd power or 2 to the 3rd power, but we also have additional options for how we can read these. Whenever you have an exponent of 2, instead of saying to the 2nd power, you could also say squared. So whatever that base is, squared. So in this example, we could say 2 to the 2nd power is also 2 squared. Similarly, if you have an exponent of 3, you can read that as your base value cubed. So another way to express 2 to the third power would be 2 cubed. You're more likely to hear squared and cubed than to the second power or to the third power just because they're quicker to say. And one of the reasons we have this shorthand is because we're most likely to see exponents of 2 and 3. So that special naming is important to keep track of. Once we move to exponents of 4 and larger, we can use that same pattern that we talked about earlier, to the fourth power or to the fifth power, and so on, depending on what that exponent is. Well, I hope you've got a better understanding of what exponents are, what they mean, and how to read them out loud. As always, if you have any questions or would like to see anything else discussed, please let me know in the comments down below. Thanks so much for spending part of your day with me, and I'll catch you next time.